Everyone, welcome. My name is Alisha Braché here at Cosmic Gateway. The purpose of this video is to go over two things. One is I wanted to share some updates about my work, my new website, and some training courses that are becoming available. One already in progress, and the other one that will be up and coming. The second part of this video is to share an article that I wrote almost 3 years ago. And the reason that I wanted to bring this back and give this to you is because it has been very highlighted and active within the collective experience over the last few weeks, months. And that is the theme around divine counterparts, soul connections, strong soul connections. There's many names and labels. And in this article that I'll be sharing, it is an introduction to a new program that I'll be presenting. But what I wanted to do is I've never publicly put this article out on Cosmic Gateway. It's only been available through my other YouTube channel, New Earth Children, and on my New Earth Children website. I felt that it was important to bring this information back as it might be helpful for people navigating the shifts and changes which I've been talking about in the restoration of right relationships that's currently occurring right now. It's an incredibly exciting time. And one of the reasons that I have been asked to present a lot of these trainings is inspiration, experiences and guidance that have come through visions, through dream messages, and part of my own personal experience that I went through at the end of last year, where I experienced a shift, a massive timeline shift that was around shifting consciousness on the planet, but it had a very intrinsic connection to divine counterparts and sacred relationships. This article that I'll be sharing is based on theory, through personal experience, and working with many people over many years who have been going through all sorts of different divine counterpart dynamics. So, first of all, I'm very excited to announce that my new website is now up and available. And I encourage you to go and check out the changes. Some of the changes are there is a subscription base that is offered and available if you feel called to, which will be accessing all the soul journeys that I present approximately once a month. You'll get access to the 6 previous ones that have been hosted since November of last year and ongoing. There has been changes to the different types of sessions that I offer. I used to have a large amount. I'm trying to condense it and simplify it into just a few. But for those who've been working with me ongoing over the years, nothing has changed to the way that I conduct sessions. It's just a simplified manner on the new website as part of this evolution and up-leveling that we're all going through. The other announcement is that while I'm training these programs, I have stopped taking on individual personalized sessions for a period of time. The reason is that I'm dedicated to training a large number of people who are taking live training with me. And it's just, as we're moving through such big collective shifts, I'm unable to take on any more it's a time that I really need to focus on this training and how I'm delivering it to the people. So if you haven't seen, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I commenced elevation training, which is all about energy awareness of how to access, understand your own energy, and tools, techniques, and information of how to clear, release, and activate your soul purpose or destiny timeline. This will be available now for replay for those who haven't attended on the live calls. And this is in conjunction with the new training that will be offered. So coming up and commencing on November the 8th, Melbourne, Australian Eastern Standard Time at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., I'll be hosting 5 weeks of Elevate 2 training, which is the second part of elevation training. They go hand in hand. And the prerequisite for taking on Elevate 2 training is that you have at least commenced elevation training, as they'll be sold as a package. If you haven't attended the live, you can access the replay, and that will be available if you choose or feel called to join me in the live run of Elevate 2. All the details will be on the website, and right now I'm offering open invitation for those who feel called and want to join the live calls. As an expression of interest, if you would like to email me or contact me, and then I will consider for the select number of placements that I have in that live call. All of it will be available. So elevation training and Elevate 2 training will all be available for at your own pace learning. And that's how it's been structured, so that nobody misses out. Time zone you live in. And I've tried to make it balanced. So the first one is in the AM of Australian Eastern Standard Time, and the second one will be in the PM, so that everyone gets a fair share. So that is my announcements. If you are wanting a personal session, I would encourage you to email me. I have a waiting list that I am taking note of people who would like to connect with me one-on-one. And when I'm ready to go back to personalized sessions, I will send out an email and let you know when I've opened up my books once again. So I thank you, everyone, for your patience as I move through this big transition, this very exciting transition. This is something that has been in the works for many, many years. And I'm very excited to share this with you all as I start to actualize what I believe that I'm truly here to do. So on the new website, there is resources that I have available for people to help support them while I'm unable to do personalized sessions. On it, you will find a tab that has resources, and there will be a drop down which has meditations. So there'll be 5 meditations that will be free for your personal access and to listen to as energetic support. There's also resources, which is a combination of many, many articles that I've written since 2017 that might be helpful for you, as sometimes intuitively when I've written these articles, I was accessing higher timelines. And when I look back and look at some of the information that I wrote over the years, I realize that that is actually what is playing out now on the global collective scale. So I hope that you enjoy. Elevate 2 is really much, it's a training program that is a lifetime worth of work for me, or I should say many lifetimes. I have a very special place in my heart for supporting people who are on the path of ascension that is based off divine counterpart connections. There's many terms and labels: twin soul, original pairing, twin flames, soulmates. The purpose of the training is to try and capture and give context and reference for the different types of soul connections that we can have based off this incarnation. I feel that my work is important to help people access understanding the origins of the connection, the purpose of the connection, and how to manage and balance the energetics of the connection. So whether it's a soulmate, whether it's an intimate relationship, this training is really designed to help come into higher level perspective, awareness, consciousness, to have a better understanding of what your important soul, divine soul connections are and how to work with them. So without further ado, I'm going to go into reading as a little bit of a taster, as a little bit of an introduction of my concepts of divine sacred partnerships, divine soul connections, keeping in mind that this article was written almost 3 years ago, and my awarenesses, my thoughts, my theories have evolved and changed since then. So that is what I'll be presenting as one of the first modules in Elevate 2 training. I'm trying to make it as expansive as possible so that anyone who wants to better their relationships, no matter what name, label, or type of connection they are, that they will get some benefit out of understanding or having a deeper soul understanding consciously and working with that in the physical reality. So I hope that you enjoy this article. And the images that will be presented as I read this article are based off images that I've got and received in downloads through sessions, through my own experiences that were showing me this huge shift in consciousness that is happening and unfolding as we speak on this planet. I was shown this many, many years ago through dreams, visions, and it's very exciting to see that we're actually in this time of change happening in the physical reality. So I hope that you take in and enjoy the images as I share this article with you, and hope that that inspires, activates, or gives you something that you need on your own journey. So let's get going. Okay, so the original title of this article was called Archetypes of Sacred Relationship and Soul Connections. As we move through the changing of the ages on the planet, a large portion of souls will start to open up and connect with people from their past. These connections have been an imperative influence along their soul's journey through the existence of the third dimensional experience and beyond. This is a key aspect of the dimensional shift which is occurring on the planet for ourselves individually and collectively. As we become awakened to the true nature of reality, we step into more remembrance of ourselves on a soul level. With that, we magnetize or align ourselves with soul fragmented aspects of our oversoul that have been pivotal for our soul's growth on many occasions. This occurs for a number of reasons so that we can complete and dissolve karma within our experience, thus allowing us to graduate from the 3D experience and move into embodiment of 5D and beyond, depending on the soul's place of origin, restoring our original template. In doing this, we can heal, clear the karmic timelines from Earth's history, and restore the original template. There's such a big state of confusion when it comes to twin flames, twin souls, soulmates, karmic connections. There are many labels and attachments which keep people in a state of confusion, especially when they've come in contact with their first deep soul connection. The first time we experience love beyond a third dimensional experience, it's very easy for the human mind to place so much importance and emphasis on this person. Our minds often tell us that they are the only one, the one we've been waiting for all of our lives. Then we begin the cosmic dance, and things become magical and blissful. However, the triggers can then begin to bubble to the surface. It can go from bliss states of being highly triggered, which is often what we know as the ascension path, which has now officially begun. We feel as though we couldn't possibly love another in the same way or the same intensity, and then it happens again. Another person enters, and it completely uproots our whole belief system of what we previously believed of the only one. We've seen it all, or at least I have, or experienced it all, which can be incredibly confusing. If we're experiencing, it makes us feel all sorts of conflict, questioning ourselves and everything we've previously experienced. We find ourselves asking, was it real? What happened? What changed? The truth of the matter is that we have all sorts of different soul connections, which all equally serve an important purpose to contribute to our growth and evolution throughout our ascension process and for the collective evolution. Depending on your own soul's journey throughout the history of human race and beyond, that is what will determine how many different soul connections you may encounter in this lifetime. As we are on the precipice of a massive transition as a human race or species, we begin to move from one dimension to another in what I like to call the graduation process. we will have the opportunity to reconnect with all significant relationships that are connected with our soul at some point, to heal karmic cycles which are played out and carried over into this lifetime. Graduation means coming to the end of the third dimensional grievances, injustice, and wrongdoings to make it right again. The goal of this part of our process is to heal, transform, and transcend so that we can move into a new experience of the fifth dimensional or original organic template, original consciousness, and physical embodiment. So when we take it in and think about it from that perspective, how many lifetimes have we lived? How many great loves have we had? How many love triangles have we participated in? How many times have we experienced unrequited love, left a lover, loved and lost through tragic endings? And that is just on this earth level alone. When we look beyond, we have very different experiences when we expand into a galactic or cosmic level. The difference is that we don't tend to have the harsher love lessons off planet Earth in the cosmos. There are couples paired more for purpose and mission. When we blend all this together, we have many different types of connections. When we come together in connection with them in this lifetime, we'll experience a sense of familiarity and knowing of them, a sense of intense love, a feeling of hurt or guilt. As we go through our own evolutionary process, a remembrance of deep memories is brought up in order for us to transcend them. Some of these remembrances can be very deep and moving, or they can be horrifically painful. This can seem overwhelming at first. However, if we're able to shift and change our perspective, we'll have an amazing opportunity to see how powerful this transformation can be. We're given a profound chance to heal at the very deep levels and go through radical transformation within ourselves. As I mentioned above, one's own soul's experience and mission on the planet in this lifetime will determine how many counterparts we may encounter along the way. Some people may only have one and will go through this entire process of ascension with that person, while others may come in contact with a few or all of the ones that I will list and outline below. Keeping in mind, this is just a summary and outline of groupings or trends that I've observed over the years of working with many people on the quote-unquote twin flame journey. And it was through the observation of the different dynamics, aspects, and energy patterns that have all brought me to this conclusion. As I write this, I feel that the understanding of this concept will only continue to evolve and expand. As we reach levels of consciousness or higher consciousness, we are able to access higher awareness, and therefore we can see things from a very, very different perspective. In my opinion, not one counterpart is higher or lower in importance. Each one holds a very special and specific purpose, and it is an important part of the whole for both the individual and collective experience. We move through the connections in a sequence and order of what our soul has already written to the best benefit for our healing and growth. Often we have to go through the harder, more challenging relationships first in order to become more evolved version of ourselves. This is preparation for the next connection to come into play or to strengthen loved bonds through one dynamic. A certain level of soul healing and maturity is needed to be open up to explore divine love in its purest form. As the saying goes, it's absolutely possible to love more than one person. We are beings of unconditional love, at our very inner essence and core. And this can be experienced in a myriad of ways and different types of love. The core fundamental reason and purpose of sacred relationships coming en masse into this planet at this time is to be able to break down all the old templates of relationships. This includes, yet it is not limited to, being able to transcend codependency, toxicity, inadequacy, abuse on a mental, emotional, physical level, unworthiness, lack, or victim consciousness. In the process of breaking down the old templates of these relationship dynamics, which have been experienced on Earth for thousands of years, we have the ability to bring back and restore the old original templates of relationships that are being held within higher consciousness. These are templates of unconditional love, interdependence, trust, respect, balance, equilibrium, and equality. This is what many of us have experienced in other civilizations, such as Lemuria, Egypt, Atlantis before the fall. A lot of these ancient civilizations had higher and lower timelines. Each person on this journey holds sacred codes, knowing and understanding of what is possible within sacred relationship templates, getting back to that core essence. However, it can take a lot of releasing and healing of what has been experienced during darker times on this planet. This can be said for those souls who have shared off-planet connections, as most of these are in higher dimensions or on higher templates of love and connection. With that in mind, knowing that we have powerful souls on this planet doing some epic work to completely change the game and the nature of a relationship for all of us. They have chosen to pave the way and to show what is possible to the rest of humanity. So let's explore a little bit deeper and look at some of the qualities. And this is just a general overview of qualities, attributes, and archetypes of different types of soul connections. The importance of this is to help us understand the origins, the purpose of these various relationships, so that we can better understand and get the best out of each one through awareness and conscious connection. Let's start off with one of the most common that I found, which is the Earth counterpart. The Earth counterpart I see as a couple who has had many Earth incarnations together. This is someone who you've had or been in a loving commitment with time and time again, often incarnated at specific times in Earth's history, where both of them have experienced higher dimensional, peaceful times of civilization throughout Earth's past. It's possible that you or they would have trained together in specific arts of healing modality, alchemy, learnt gifts and abilities that would contribute to society in some way. In contrast, the pair may have experienced some of the darker times in Earth's past, where they have both been together or separately, seeing, witnessing, and experiencing the darker side of humanity. They may have even witnessed or participated in the darker side in order to understand polarities of the dualistic nature. Together, there may be love and loss within the connection that have played out different types of love. This connection and bond is very intense and strong. They will, to some degree, find it easy from the beginning of the connection to feel a very intense sense of love and familiarity. It can be very comfortable as though you feel like you've slipped back into the role of partnership with that person, as though the relationship transcends or continues through time and space. To the mind, this can be incredibly confusing, as it can feel love at first sight for someone that they've only just met in the physical now. Whereas on a soul level, it can feel quite natural and normal and comfortable. These types of connections can bring forth karma to clear between the two parties if there was loss, rejection, deceit, guilt. This can bring forward those lessons and patterns to be resolved through the relationship, thus radiating out into the collective field. On the physical level, these two can look alike. They can have very similar facial structures, similar tones of complexion. Additionally, it's not uncommon that they can have lived very similar lifestyles, life experience, worked in similar jobs. They could also share common interests and patterns and have a very similar skill set, both on a human and on a human level and a spiritual nature. The purpose of this connection is to share a soul path that can right the wrongs and neutralize some of the duality that has been experienced in their soul's journey together. It is meant to activate their gifts and abilities so that they can be accessed to their full capacity and be worked on with developing ways, structures, healing arts to create fundamental foundation for New Earth. This would include higher consciousness living, which both enrich the lives of one another and once again contribute to society as a whole. The next we have the galactic counterpart. This type of counterpart, by my conclusion, can be the hardest to reach a physical union on planet Earth, as they come from a much higher dimension or consciousness. This dynamic pairing has usually lived out lives on other planets in other solar systems and has shared a joint mission together once or on multiple occasions. As they come into physical contact, the frequency exchange is so high that they unhinge each other and each other's physical life. If there is a misalignment within their human experience of what their true soul purpose and mission is, this creates great chaos. Coming into contact can create massive explosions in abrupt ending of jobs, businesses, relationships, friendships, living locations. Anything which is misaligned or not in the highest alignment will be abruptly taken out, like the rug being pulled out from each other's lives. The physical connection can be completely overwhelming, and they'll only be able to spend short periods of time together because it will dramatically cause such an expansion of cosmic consciousness and memories of galactic connections. It can facilitate the return of memories and experiences and missions that they've completed together. This is where one or both will start to have conscious contact with galactic beings or other earthly beings, high dimensional beings, and begin to interface with them as they step into a larger scale mission. This part may not be for all who encounter a galactic counterpart. Part of the soul journey can be long periods or years of physical separation, dark nights of the soul, as a part of their own spiritual path and evolution. In some other cases, galactic counterparts can be still serving in galactic missions as part of what is commonly known as the SSP, or the Secret Space Program. This is a process where part of their consciousness is used in a different vessel off planet to serve as a super soldier to fight galactic and interstellar wars. While this is happening, their human aspect will be pulled down into a watered down version of themselves. They will appear only on surface level, whilst being heavily ingrained in a very dense 3D experience, with short stints of their higher aspect integrated into the physical reality. Secret Space Program are well known to recruit some of the most intelligent and highly evolved starseeds who have incarnated on Earth from a very young age, often belonging to military families, in particular the Navy, and are identified and marked as young children and often recruited very young. Most often, none of these memories are accessed until their service in these programs is completed, which can be anywhere ranging between 20 to 40 years of earthly incarnation. They often will have many dreams of being in battle, fighting, war, and images that would resemble things from sci-fi movies. I believe that these are very real experiences that are occurring and not just random dreams. Sometimes there's a lot of bleed through that can occur with these experiences where we will have a direct correlation of what is happening in the ethers, in the cosmos, in that aspect of our consciousness that's operating in a different reality that will bleed through into this reality. Sometimes it can come through dreams. Sometimes the bleed through can come through in physical symptoms. This is some things to be aware of. So until these galactic missions are completed and Earth reaches a much higher frequency, many of these connections can be hit and miss in coming together. This is simply because the larger galactic mission is far too important and they are needed, or should I say their consciousness is, to clean up timelines, to fight for peace in a larger grand cosmic level. On a physical level, their core aspects will be very similar, such as their inner essence or frequency, their core values. On the exterior, their personality and traits and qualities may look the complete opposite as they come together as opposing opposite or opposite polarities. It is the yin and yang, the black and white. This is the complementary counterpart where one will have the attributes that the other doesn't, and vice versa. So together they become a powerhouse when they complete an energy field. Often the karma which is brought through between these two can be great. It can consist of galactic wars and some of the most disastrous times where ET interference on this planet went wrong. The galactic counterpart will often have gifts and abilities that they have worked with and refined and brought through from other experiences from their different incarnations. This can include high levels of energy work, building and working with different technologies, being able to receive and talk, channel and create artwork in codes or light language. In essence, through these practices, they will ground and embody higher levels of energy and consciousness onto the planet. Encountering and connecting with them enables both individuals to remember and restore some or all of their soul memories. This starts to bring back gifts and abilities to work with, activating soul mission here on Earth, which in turn helps to bridge the gap between human race and ET beings. This is an integral part of the process as Earth moves into understanding and becoming aware of our galactic origins and eventually become a new human race, restoring our original templates. Now let's have a look at karmic completion, high initiator counterparts, karmic connections, I should say, high initiator, with subcategories of interference handlers and shapeshifters. These types of counterparts can be what I would like to call the wolf in sheep's clothing. The initial contact and connection can be one of profound love or lust at first sight. This is one thing that can only be seen clearly in hindsight, as it is done purposefully and with good intention from a higher perspective. This connection will be magnetizing, massively desirable, almost intoxicating. Mostly these connections are based on more physical nature, sexual pleasure, toxic chemistry of behaviors and patterns, which will be triggered and highlighted through the duration of the relationship. The draw is so magnetic, they can't stop being drawn or engaged with the other person. The purpose of this is because fate of karmic clearing must be completed to go through this dance for them to move into the next phase of their own relationship pathway. It is often the magnetic pull, that lust or love that starts to wear off after about 6 months. That's where the intense triggers and wounds will occur. The difference between these relationships and other connections is a state of balance and harmony will never be reached. They work hard to come back to the original state it once was in the beginning. And that is why they will overcompensate and lose themselves in one of these connections quite easily. There are many names and labels for these, such as the false twin, the narcissistic twin, etc. I prefer to call them the high initiator because that's exactly what they are. They will test each individual to their core, take them into some very dark places to highlight the need for healing around things like addictions, abuse, victim consciousness, lack, need for control, and manipulating in relationship connections. These relationships are very conditional and test each individual in becoming their own sovereign being. What I often see is once they have claimed their own personal power through the lessons that they've learned through this relationship, they break free of the patterns and resolve the karma. This then evolves them into a much more healed version of themselves at a higher vibrational state and now ready to come into contact with a more significant counterpart. As these types of relationships have tainted the name of the twin flames in modern day times, as individuals can have multiple karmic connections, not just one, depending on how much karma has been accumulated and needs to be resolved on that 3D level is how many connections come into play that need to be healed. The karma between these connections can often be extreme betrayal, deceit, murder, cheating, love triangles, etc. There is much emphasis placed on the physical connection based on material status, the lust of physical attraction, and also the draw of mind-blowing sex. The desire to just want to be together or otherwise I might die type of sensation can be very common. There is no sense of greater purpose of service to others in this connection or type of connection. These connections teach us much about attachment versus connection. Also, there can be nefarious energies working through these connections, which can, as some would perceive, keep true counterparts out of each other's lives so that they cannot come into full actualization of union. This can be seen as interference energies that work through another person to keep one counterpart in a state of confusion or lower consciousness. This can be a partner, a family member. Keep in mind, it isn't the person itself who is meddling or interfering. It is an energy or attachment which is working through them. Handlers, for those people who have been in various secret space program or military projects, MK Ultra, sex slave programs, handlers are a person who is assigned to them to keep them under mind control. Handlers can be a close family member, a best friend, or a romantic partner, or even wedded spouse. It can change from one person to another over a period of time. It's often someone unassuming who is very close to the individual. The purpose is to infiltrate their life and keep them suppressed in a lower state of consciousness, blocking their soul remembrance and thus preventing them to fulfill their life purpose. The handlers are also mind controlled. Often people who are susceptible are people who have been sexually abused as children or had some type of trauma that makes them susceptible to being programmed. Both interference and handlers are a physical person who has been taken over by a negative oriented energy or entity. These can have a shape-shifting nature. They can be sweet in one moment and then a trigger occurs or the mind control kicks in and they become vicious, nasty, manipulative, aggressive, and in some cases what we would consider pure evil. The purpose of these is to keep the individual in a lower state of consciousness and disconnected from their true nature. These karmic connections are generally the hardest path that we can take in this lifetime. These are necessary, messy, and ugly part of the path. They are needed to be able to clear karma, which was created in past lives, and also to heal aspect of a person who is processing this. This is what comes in under our templates that we come in with on a soul level. I think that most people on a divine partnership journey encounter at least one of these karmic partnerships or high initiator is part of the path. And when it comes to the realization, the truth, the relationship ends. This leaves the individual feeling incredibly lost and confused. I always say once we've completed a karmic or a high initiator relationship, that is generally when we've healed and empowered ourselves from that experience. This is when we are actually ready to experience divine love and connection in our lives. Now let's have a look at soulmates, platonic and romantic, and soul family. Soulmates are the most loving, supportive types of soul connections that we can encounter in this lifetime. With soulmates, we have many and all different types of dynamics. These souls are part of our soul group who we've had many, many lifetimes with. This can be a combination of relationships on Earth and off on other planets. As we encounter these connections, we'll feel an immediate sense of remembrance. They will look or feel or seem familiar to us in some way, even though we've never met them before. There will be a recognition when you look at them in the eye, which sparks a deeper recognition or remembrance. You just have that feeling, where do I know you from? Have we met before? And of course, you have, just not in this lifetime. Soulmates can be in the form of best friends, parents, siblings, animals, co-workers, and of course, romantic relationships. Not all soulmates are meant to be romantic connections, and this can be confusing when there is a deep soul recognition, love, and the ability to be seen in a very loving and non-judgmental way. This especially comes in the form when it is of the opposite sex, a hetero person or hetero relationship that can create an attraction to the human mind. Keep in mind, not all soulmate connections are meant to be romantic. However, if they are, they can make the foundations of great loving, stable home environment to raise children and to make a happy life together. The other aspect of soulmate relationships as a part of a wider planetary shift is these people are to connect, to find one another, to bring back aspects of remembrance, to work together, support one another in collaboration to a soul mission and work together. The next category we have, or archetype that we have, is the disincarnate counterpart. This disincarnate, that's a mouthful, counterpart is one who has decided to transition during the course of this lifetime. They pass away and move into a higher state of consciousness or into the new earth or go back home before the other. This can be incredibly painful to have such a profound love and then go through the grief and loss of losing their physical presence. This, from my understanding, is designed to help the other in their ascension process, to grow their gifts and abilities to the non-physical world. And of course, they will meet up again after this lifetime or within the new earth. The counterpart who has passed away will serve as a spirit guide who can lovingly help and support the other from the non-physical. Other types of disincarnate counterparts can be where one has decided to incarnate into Earth at this time and the other has decided to stay back in the higher dimensions or realms to be a guide from the other side. Finally, this may also apply to galactic counterparts as well, where some may be incarnated here on Earth, while their counterpart does not take physical form, instead stays on a spacecraft or in their galactic embodiment. This way, they will still have encounters with each other in the realms and in the dimension or while on spacecraft. They are able to serve out their mission together, as one will work here on Earth and the other out of space for a larger galactic mission. Then we have the walk-in soul transference counterpart. Walk-in is where there is an agreement between two souls that at some stage during the incarnation, the original soul who is inhabited the body will exit and allow another soul to come in and inhabit the body. This can happen at a time of an NDE, a near-death experience, or at the time of an intense trauma. This is something that has already been agreed upon before this incarnation. In some cases where a counterpart has disincarnated, they will find their way back to the counterpart through a walk-in scenario. Soul transference counterpart. This is something that has become more prevalent in recent years, since the end of 2019 into 2020. Something which can take place in extreme circumstances where one counterpart has delayed or opted out by a free will of their soul's mission. The transference of energy can go from one counterpart to another, a high-level soulmate, so that one who is on the path and purpose can continue their journey and fulfill their mission that they have set out to achieve, the purpose of planetary ascension. From my understanding, this is very different to a walk-in. The soul remains the same for the two individuals. However, there is a transference of energy that is moved from one body to another, which initiates a divine love frequency and has a very divine counterpart-like quality to it from one person to another, so that the journey continues with the two participating in the soul mission so that it is completed. If the soul transference happened before all the lessons and learnings have been completed, which happens in most cases, the transference will also transpose the relevant learning and lessons as well as the soul mission. Then we have the heart activator. This is a type of person who is already on a divine counterpart journey. As a part of their soul mission, they will, by encounter, heart activate other people to kickstart their ascension pathway and potentially start their counterpart journey. This can happen in public figures, people in the spiritual community, customer service roles, musicians, actors, etc. When the heart activation is received from one of these people, it can be confusing to the human mind, as they can feel a sense of profound love towards a person and feel a deep soul connection. They also feel that that person who is activated is their counterpart, when in actual fact, it is the heart activation of pure love, which is now being experienced for the first time. And it is being felt very deeply and intensely. This does not take away, as a side note, this does not take away from those who have public figure counterparts, as that is a path for some on their divine love journeys. This can also happen in a non-romantic way, where a heart activator will trigger an ascension process and get people ready and aligned for their soul mission. Every connection plays a very important role and purpose in the evolution of the individual and for the planet. The souls working on these type of connections and missions are here to rewrite the template of love, relationship, family, parenting, to bring this world back to a place of love, balance, trust, respect, and harmony. What is important as we go through these connections and experience it is not to get caught up in titles, labels, and identification, but to truly understand the nature of the connection. When we can be assisted more by understanding the origins and the purpose that they play in our lives, and how they can all contribute to a greater, wider picture of global ascension process. Each and everyone contributes in their own unique way, and thus the flow on effect is truly experienced and enjoyed by all. So it's fair to say that these relationships and journeys are not for the faint-hearted. The mission is so much more than two people meeting and living happily ever after. They are designed to catapult each individual into their awakening and ascension pathway. The purpose is to change the game in relationship status quo, to use that experience to do something which will change society in some way, to leave and uphold a legacy so that generations who come after us will be enriched in some way. Through the healing process that we go through as a result, we heal ancient ancestral wounds, traumas of our ancestors on this planet. This path includes changing beliefs, limitations, transcending, in order to remember who we truly are on a soul level. It is then that we can bring the essence here into the physical world, embody that, and share that with humanity. If you are here listening or reading this, there is no coincidence. It is what you've signed up for on a soul level before coming here, because you knew that you could fulfill this mission. And you were one of the brave-hearted souls who could break the bonds of slavery, separation, and transform darkness, bringing it back to light and unconditional love. So thank you all for listening to my very long article. As you can see, I've learned a lot over the many years of working in divine relationship couples and working on helping support, facilitate energy balance. So all the details will be in the description box so that you can have a look at the programs that will be up and coming and how to access them. And I just want to thank you all for the contribution of what we're all going through now. It is huge. It is phenomenal. It's challenging, but it's worth it. So thank you again, and just sending you all much, much love. Until next time. Bye-bye.